Salamun alaikum, my dear friends. It's good to be with you. I've got an exciting episode, this exciting video that I want to offer you. And I think you're going to enjoy this. So stay with me. I'm going to look at a verse in the Qur'an that has been translated in two different ways. And I can't understand why they have translated it in a certain way. So I'm going to look at that verse, but that verse actually opens the door to a massive inquiry into the nature of humanity, the nature of consciousness, the nature of how we will be reconstituted after dying. So let me first go to that verse. I'm going to take the Arabic first quickly, and then we will discuss it. Let's look at this verse, and you're gonna see now how exciting the exploration of this verse is. It's extremely interesting. Let's first read the Arabic. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذا قال إبراهيم ربي أرني كيف تحيي الموتى. When Abraham said to his Lord, please Lord, show me how you will revive the dead. قال أولم تؤمن قال. Then his Lord said to him, God said to him, are you not comfortable with believing without knowing that? قال أولم تؤمن قال بلى ولكن ليطمئن قلبي. Abraham answered, no, I am indeed embraced, I'm committed, but it will satisfy something in me, my heart. قال فخذ أربعة. Then his Lord said to him, God said to him, فخذ أربعة من الطير. Take 4 birds, فصرهن إليك, and make them used to you. Make them come, train them to be part of you, to be used to you. ثم جعل على كل جبل منهم جزء. Then take a part of them and place them on the mountaintops. Take a part of them and put them on mountaintops. ثم ادعوهن. Then call them. يأتينك سعيا. They will rush back to you. سعيا. وأعلم أن الله عزيز حكيم. And know then by this amazing feat that God is indeed noble and a noble ruler. So that is the Arabic, right? That's the Arabic. It is about Abraham being curious about how life will be reconstituted after people have died. And this is a very interesting question. I'm sure you all wonder, we are believers, we accept the Qur'an, we embrace it, but sometimes we need to it's satisfied. Human beings are curious by nature, and that is what this episode with Abraham and his Lord constitutes. So let's look at this verse. Now this verse has unfortunately been mistranslated, and I'm going to show you a few translations, and you tell me if this makes any sense. Now the most common translation in the Muslim, I think, world is I don't know if it's anymore, but Yusuf Ali used to be the most common. And Yusuf Ali, this is his translation. When Abraham said to him, Lord, show me how you will raise the dead, he replied, have you no faith? He said, yes, but just to reassure my heart, Allah said, take 4 birds, draw them to you and cut their bodies to pieces. Now that is nowhere explicit in the verse. Scatter them over mountaintops, then call them back, they will swiftly come back to you. Allah, know then that Allah is mighty and wise. Now, you see, the thing with this is they're trying to find a miracle here that is more, rudimentary, a very basic miracle of Abraham is breaking up birds into pieces and throwing them on mountains. Let me take another one. Mustafa Khattab, that's the Clear Qur'an, also a very common translation, where he says in this is Qur'an 2 verse 160, where he says, and remember when Abraham said, my Lord, show me how you give life to the dead. Allah responded, do you not believe? Abraham replied, yes, I do, but just so my heart can be reassured. Allah said, then bring 4 birds, train them to come to you, then cut them to pieces. I see he made little small brackets there. Can you see there? There he made a small bracket. So he's trying to indicate, there's the bracket, that it's not in the verse. So you will, and cut them to pieces and scatter them on different hilltops, then call them back. They will fly to you in a haste, and so you will know that Allah is almighty and wise. Now, my friends, the question is, why do they mistranslate? Because they are stuck in an old way. They're stuck in a hadith, in a 10th century, way of thinking. They're not allowing themselves to grow as technology and as times have changed. And I'm going to show you now where my translation, and let me start by first showing you the great Muhammad Asad, whose translation is banned in Saudi Arabia, what he translates. And this is Muhammad Asad. And lo, Abraham said, O my sustainer, show me how thou givest life unto the dead. Said he, hast thou then no faith? Abraham answered, yes, but let me see it, so that my heart may be fully at rest. So Allah said, take then 4 birds and teach them to obey thee. Then place them separately on every hill around them. Then summon them. They will come flying to thee, and know that God is almighty wise. You see, Muhammad Asad, bless his soul, knew that this is not some sort of cruel thing that you have to play on birds. I mean, Muslims, why are we worshipping a gracious and beneficent and a magnanimous God, but then we assume that this God will let you do such foul things, like break a bird into pieces? I read this verse many months ago, I guess 2-3 years ago, and I just couldn't believe that my Lord is asking Abraham to take 4 birds and to rip them into pieces, and my mind couldn't accept it. And when I saw Asad's translation, suddenly I realized that there is a better translation, and it simply means take a group of birds and take portions of them. And indeed, that is the translation that I settled on. I want to show him my translation then. It says, then there is when Abraham asked, my Lord, show me how you revive the dead. He replied, are you then not convinced? He said, I certainly am, but it will satisfy my curiosity. So he said, take 4 birds and let them grow attached to you. Then take portions of them into every mountain. Then observe how, if you call them, they will all rush back to you. Know then from observing this wonder that God is mighty and wise. Now let's move the story on. Let's take the story to the next level. I think if you are a rational-minded person, if you believe that God is not a God that will instruct you to destroy and to hurt animals unnecessarily, which is what I would assume, then you can move your thinking beyond that silly translation and you can get to the real translation, which is really about homing pigeons, what we know today as homing pigeons. Homing pigeons are birds that you can acquaint to you, they grow up with you, and then you can scatter them 500 miles, 200 miles, 600 miles, and they will return to you. Let me just show you a short video of how homing pigeons work, and you can
gives me goose pimples every time I do it. Lovely. You know what I mean?
There's no doubt about what pigeons can do. The question remains, how do they do it? For Rupert Sheldrake, pigeons homing to their lofts, while miraculous, is nothing new. He's exploring the implications of a far more mysterious phenomenon.
Probably the most mysterious navigational abilities that animals show are abilities not to go back to a particular place, the home, but to find a particular person who has moved away from the home. This happens with dogs sometimes. Sometimes people have to move, they leave the dog behind at their home, and they go to a new job tens of miles away, even hundreds of miles away. They somehow sense where that person is and can find them at a distance.
One such well-documented example took place during the 1914-18 war, when Prince journeyed solo from England to France. Prince made his way across war-torn Europe to track down and be reunited 125 miles later with his owner, Private James Brown.
There's no way any kind of navigational system based on global coordinates could explain that. The only thing that could explain it, in my opinion, is a bond between the person and the animal that gives them a sense of direction, a bond like a kind of invisible elastic band that stretches out between the two of them and provides a pull towards that person.
The same phenomenon that took Prince across unknown landscapes to a never-before-visited destination, Dr. Sheldrake wishes to explore with his floating loft. Might these pigeons, like Prince, be drawn on invisible elastic bands back?
Let's just leave it there. So I just wanted to give you an idea of what homing pigeons, the miracle of homing pigeons, the miracle of navigation of birds and how they can travel over 400, 500 miles. Then he added in the story of this little pet dog that the master left for the war. And this is documented that this little dog actually found his master. There was an invisible connection between the dog and his master. Now, the same mysterious connection between pigeons and the owner, between the pigeon and the owner, is what this verse is alluding to. And we need to just quickly explore and see how the two are connected. Allah says in this verse, make 4 birds fond of you. Right? Make them fond of you. In other words, breed them, domesticate them. And then go and scatter them on the mountains. Put these birds far out of reach from you and see how they will come back to you. And so this illustration, you see, the Qur'an doesn't make idle or insignificant or trivial examples or trivial statements. This is an extremely deep experiment that Allah or God is instructing Abraham with. He is instructing him to experiment and to experience the invisible bond that is created between the pigeons and the owner, and how, if they are called back, that mysterious bond will come into play. And then they will fly back to their master, and they themselves probably, those pigeons themselves probably don't know how it works. They don't know the technology. And up till today, scientists are baffled by how pigeons are able to navigate. Yes, some people will make simple statements by saying they're looking at the landscape. But what if they are travel in a closed truck? They don't see the landscape, so how do they know? Some people said it's magnetic. There's a magnet in the bird's head and in his beak, and he navigates by using the magnetism of the earth. That's all speculation. They don't have the answer. What God is instructing Abraham here is to experiment and to see that secret hidden force. But I'm not done yet, because I want to take you a little bit further to Sheldrake, Professor Sheldrake's ideas on what he calls morphic resonance. Now, he is a scientist, but he's pretty much on the cutting edge of this type of quantum science, where he actually makes a certain, he's developed a theory around the memory of nature, what he calls morphic resonance, right? It's a high word, but morphic resonance, this means a connection, an equilibrium between the forms, between the different things in nature. So in nature, different objects have some sort of resonance, some sort of mysterious connection between them. And let me just show you this memory of nature. From the point of view of the hypothesis of morphic resonance, there is no need to suppose that all the laws of nature sprang up into being fully formed at the moment of the Big Bang, like a kind of cosmic Napoleonic code, or that they exist in a metaphysical realm beyond time and space. Before the general acceptance of the Big Bang in the 60s, eternal law seems to make sense. The universe itself was thought to be eternal, and evolution was confirmed to be a biological realm. So let me make it simple for you. Let me give you a bit of a explanation of what he really says, is that instead of evolution, instead of the emergence of the universe, instead of the Big Bang and the formation of matter and the formation of stellar, interstellar gas or smoke and the formation of planets. Instead of that being a random process, what Sheldrake is arguing is that there is a mysterious natural force. Now, yes, we believe Allah is there, but we always try to uncover the mechanism by which God works. Because God works, He always uses a mechanism that is rational, that makes sense. So if you can explain the growing of the baby from fetus to grown up using protein synthesis, using RNA, the DNA, genetics. You can explain how a human being is formed by looking at protein synthesis and how the code of DNA works. But that is the mechanism. But what Sheldrake is saying is that there is also a force that is beyond these natural mechanisms that actually guides it all. Now, I'm not going to give you the full explanation of Sheldrake. You can really go and study. But maybe this video is a useful way of understanding how his thinking works. Check this out.
Now here you see the it's being vibrated. It takes a while for the pattern to appear, and there it appears. And here's this amazing oscillating pattern just created.
So what he's saying is that there's certain vibrations that you can vibrate, and you have like water with, I think, some dye in it. And by just the way that you vibrate the sound, by the sound that you send or to that liquid, you can change the shape of it.
By vibrating water at that frequency. Now here we have it at a different frequency, and it's a different pattern. Let's see that once again, because it's truly remarkable what forms can emerge through vibratory patterns. And again, we'll see the higher frequency. Good. So this ability to create form through vibration is something which hasn't really been paid much attention to.
So I don't want to go too long into it. You're very welcome to go and explore that yourself. What he's saying is that there are certain what he calls a morphogenic fields, and they apply to this morphic resonance, which creates morphogenetic fields. Now, the aim is not to bamboozle you with terms. Let me make it simple for you, because we're still looking at this verse, right? We still want to make sense of this verse. Why is Allah saying that look at those birds and you will understand something about how you will be recreated one day? So I'm still looking at this verse. Why is God showing to Abraham, take the birds, take them to the mountains and see how they come to you? That mysterious force that brings the birds back over 400 or 500 kilometers, because obviously there's a clue in there. And what Professor Sheldrake is saying is that there is a hidden vibration in nature. As we are on earth, we as human beings are connected. There is a underlying connection between us, as there is an underlying connection between the birds and their owner. Surhunna. So that when you create a relationship between the birds and their owner, you create an invisible bond, a bond that is not detectable. There is no electricity, there is nothing, but that bond is there, that bond of connection that you create with the birds. And he says that is the bond that is behind those birds flying back. Now, if we want to apply this, and obviously I'm simplifying Sheldrake's ideas. It's much more complex, much more complicated. But the only way I can think to make it simple for you is if I think of your phone, think of your cell phone, right? You've got on your phone, you've got maybe Facebook, TikTok, whatever, Telegram, and you've got a lot of information stored on your Telegram. You've got pictures stored on your cloud. But if you take a hammer and you bang your phone and you break it into pieces, what will happen to your information? And we're talking of something that is wireless, right? That has got no cables, visible cables. All you have to do is buy a new phone, sign in with your password and your email, and you will be right back there with your WhatsApp, your Facebook, your whatever information. Even your pictures will be right there back on the new phone. And that is the best way I can describe it, is applying the analogy of wireless and cloud computing. Now, this is obviously what is alluded to in this verse, is that there is an unknown, a mysterious connection between you and God. You are not just here. You have a replica. There's a replica of you. There is a master copy of you there with Allah. There's a master copy of you. And then there's a verse that says, Yas'alunaka ani ruh. They ask you about the soul. Say the soul is a matter, is about God. It's a matter of God. And so, in conclusion, what I want to say to you is this verse is none other than illustrating to us that we are not just here in this body. There is a copy of us, of your personality, of your history, of your understanding, of every emotion, every feeling that you feel, everything in your consciousness. There is a master copy running with Allah, and you are just a local version of what is running there. And that is, my friends, how amazing this verse is explaining us, or taking us to understand this. We are merely, our consciousness is just running in this body, in this frame. But if this frame should go, if this frame should be destroyed, the master copy could be activated in a new frame, in a new body. My brothers and sisters, don't you think that is fascinating, fascinating stuff? How this verse, how Allah has actually used the idea of birds coming to their master and being right back where they were and just continuing their lives there, to illustrate that invisible link, that invisible connection, and how we actually can extrapolate, can extend that explanation, and using the theory, which I think is very interesting, of Dr. Rupert Sheldrake. Go and read up on his theories of morphogenetic fields. How people, even without being connected to God, we are connected to each other, and we are connected, our minds, our souls are somehow in some sort of equilibrium with each other. I know it's a bit airy-fairy for some people, but I promise you the science is real, or the science makes a lot of sense. Dr. Sheldrake's work makes a lot of sense. He's not a quack, he's not a fly-by-night, and I just wanted to share with you that fascinating way in which this verse 2, chapter 2, verse 260 can be interpreted. I hope you will go and read about it further. Share with me your ideas in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you think. If you think it's just a whole lot of nothing, tell me, but give me your reasons why you think so. But I hope you will give me some good feedback on this thought. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I hope you will keep well, and see you next time. Alhamdulillah.